Maya stared at her laptop screen in her tiny apartment. The bright white light from the screen hurt her eyes, but she couldn't look away. The number on the medical bill kept staring back at her. $47,000. She read it again, hoping somehow the number would change. But it didn't. She pushed her wheelchair back from the small desk and looked around her apartment. It wasn't much, but it was hers. The walls were covered with her artwork, colorful drawings she made for the children she taught. In the corner sat a small easel with a half-finished painting of a dancer. She had always loved drawing people doing things she couldn't do. Maya was born different. While other kids ran around playgrounds, she watched from the sidelines. Her left leg never formed properly, and she had used a wheelchair since she was little. But she never let that stop her from dreaming. She dreamed of walking, of dancing, of climbing mountains. The doctors said a new type of prosthetic leg could make some of those dreams come true. The prosthetic wasn't just any ordinary artificial leg. It was advanced, with sensors that could read her muscle movements. It would let her walk naturally, maybe even run someday. The doctor had shown her videos of other people using the same device. They looked so happy, so free. She wanted that freedom more than anything. But freedom came with a price tag she couldn't afford. Maya worked 2 jobs to pay her bills. During the day, she taught our 2 children with disabilities at a local center. The kids loved her because she understood them. She knew what it felt like to be different, to have people stare, to have dreams that seemed impossible. In the evenings, she designed websites and logos for small businesses. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, creating beautiful designs that brought her clients' visions to life. Even working 7 days a week, the math didn't work. Her insurance would pay for a basic prosthetic, but not the advanced one she needed. The basic one would help her stand, but it wouldn't give her the natural movement she craved. She had tried everything. 3 months ago, she started a fundraising campaign online. She shared her story, posted pictures of herself, and asked for help. Friends shared it. Family members donated what they could, and strangers from around the world sent small amounts. But after 3 months, she had only raised $2,300. It wasn't even close to enough. Maya felt embarrassed asking for more help. Her parents had already given her everything they could. Her mom worked extra shifts at the hospital, and her dad took on weekend projects. Her younger brother had offered to delay college to help her save money, but she refused. She wouldn't let her dream ruin his future. That night, she couldn't sleep. She sat at her computer, scrolling through social media. She saw happy posts from old school friends, weddings, new babies, vacation photos. Everyone seemed to be moving forward with their lives while she felt stuck. Then she saw something that gave her an idea. A woman had posted about needing money for her mother's cancer treatment. She offered to clean houses, walk dogs, or help with anything in exchange for donations. People responded positively, offering her work and money. Maya stared at the post. For a long time, maybe she could do something similar. She had skills. She could teach art, design websites, help with computer problems. Maybe someone out there needed help with something she could do. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. What could she offer? She thought about her situation. She was young, educated, and willing to work hard. But she also knew that her disability made some people uncomfortable. She had experienced it before. The awkward looks, the whispered comments, the assumptions about what she could and couldn't do. But she was desperate. The prosthetic wasn't just about walking. It was about proving to herself that she could overcome anything. It was about showing the children she taught that dreams could come true if you worked hard enough. Maya started typing. Her fingers moved slowly at first, then faster as the words came to her. She wrote about her situation, about the prosthetic, about how much it would mean to her. She tried to be honest without sounding pitiful. She offered to help with anything: tutoring, design work, household tasks, companionship for elderly people. Anything that might help someone while helping her save money. At the end of her post, she added a line that made her smile sadly. She called herself the broken girl nobody wants, but said she hoped someone out there might need what she could offer. She read the post 10 times before hitting publish. Her heart was beating fast. This felt different from her fundraising campaign. This felt more personal, more vulnerable. She was putting herself out there in a way she never had before. The post went live at 11:47 p.m. Maya closed her laptop and went to bed, not knowing that her life was about to change completely. She fell asleep wondering if anyone would even see her post, let alone respond to it. When she woke up 6 hours later, her phone was buzzing with notifications. Her post had been shared hundreds of times. People were commenting, messaging her, and sharing their own stories. But as she read through the responses, her heart sank. Most of the comments weren't helpful. Some people made jokes about her situation. Others shared the post with laughing emojis, treating her desperation like entertainment. A few people offered to help, but when she looked closer, their offers seemed suspicious or inappropriate. Maya realized she had made a mistake. In her desperation to find help, she had opened herself up to the cruelest parts of the internet. She had hoped to find kindness, but instead, she found a world that saw her vulnerability as something to mock or exploit. She sat in her wheelchair, staring at her phone, wondering if she should delete everything and give up on her dream. The prosthetic seemed further away than ever, but somewhere in the back of her mind, a small voice told her to wait. Maybe, just maybe, someone good would see her post and understand what she was really asking for. Maya didn't know it yet, but that someone was already reading her words, and her life was about to change in ways she never imagined. Maya woke up to her phone buzzing nonstop. She grabbed it from her nightstand, expecting maybe a few responses to her late-night post. Instead, she saw hundreds of notifications flooding her screen. Her heart raced as she opened the app. Her post had been shared over 2,000 times. At first, she felt excited. Maybe this meant help was coming. But as she started reading the comments, her excitement turned to horror. "Look at this girl begging online," one comment read. "Why doesn't she just get a job like everyone else?" Another person had screenshot her post and shared it with the caption, "When desperation meets the internet, the laughing face emojis." That followed made Maya's stomach turn. Someone had even made a meme using her profile picture, adding text that mocked her situation. It had been shared hundreds of times across different platforms. Maya felt sick seeing her face turned into a joke. But the comments were the worst part. People questioned why she needed such an expensive prosthetic. They said she was being greedy, that she should be grateful for what she had. Some suggested she was lying about her condition entirely. "I know people with missing limbs who work full-time jobs," one person wrote. "This girl is just looking for easy money." Maya sat in her wheelchair, tears streaming down her face. She had expected some negative responses, but not this level of cruelty. These people didn't know her story. They didn't understand the years of physical therapy, the daily struggles, or the dreams she carried in her heart. Her phone rang. It was her best friend Riley, who had seen the post exploding online. "Maya, what's happening? People are talking about you everywhere," Riley said, her voice filled with concern. "I made a mistake." Maya whispered, "I just wanted help, and now everyone thinks I'm some kind of scammer." "Don't listen to them," Riley said firmly, "but maybe you should take the post down. This is getting out of hand." After hanging up, Maya tried to focus on her morning routine. But every few minutes, her phone would buzz with another notification. People were finding her other social media accounts, commenting on old photos, and sending her direct messages. Most of the messages were cruel, but some were worse. People offered to help her in ways that made her uncomfortable. They saw her post as an opportunity to take advantage of someone desperate. Maya quickly blocked these accounts, but more kept coming. By noon, a local news station had picked up the story. They call it "Local Woman's Unusual Online Request Goes Viral." Maya watched in horror as they showed her post on television, discussing it with guests who had never met her. The news anchor asked a social media expert what she thought about Maya's approach. "While I understand her desperation," the expert said, This kind of post can be dangerous. It opens vulnerable people up to exploitation. I agree with that assessment now, but it was too late. The story was already spreading beyond her control. At work that afternoon, Maya faced the hardest day of her career. The children's center, where she taught art, had received calls from concerned parents, some worried about the negative attention surrounding Maya. Others questioned whether she was fit to teach their children. Mrs. Chen, the center's director, called Maya into her office. Maya, I've known you for 3 years. You're one of our best teachers. But this situation is creating problems we need to address. I understand, Maya said. Though her heart was breaking, do you want me to take time off? Let's see how things settle down first, Mrs. Chen replied gently. But please be careful. The internet can be a dangerous place for someone in your position. The children Maya taught were the only bright spot. In her day, 8-year-old Alex, who had been born without his right arm, drew her a picture of a superhero in a wheelchair. You're like a superhero, Miss Maya, he said. Superheroes always have to fight bad guys, but they never give up. His innocent words made Maya cry. These children understood her better than any adult online ever could. That evening, Maya's family gathered at her apartment for an emergency meeting. Her parents looked worried and exhausted. Her younger brother Tony paced around the small living room. Maybe we should contact the lawyer, Tony suggested. Some of these comments are harassment. That costs money we don't have, their father replied. Maya, I think you should delete everything and disappear from social media for a while. But what about the prosthetic? Maya asked. I'm further from my goal than ever. Her mother sat beside her wheelchair and took her hand. Honey, I know this device means everything to you, but is it worth destroying your reputation, your safety? Maya didn't have an answer. She had risked everything for a chance at her dream, and it was backfiring terribly. Later that night, alone in her apartment, Maya sat at her computer reading through the messages. For every 10 cruel comments, there was one kind message from someone who understood her situation. A few people had genuinely offered to help, but their offers got lost in the flood of negativity. She was about to delete everything when she noticed a message that was different from the others. It was longer, more thoughtful, and it didn't treat her like a victim or a target. The person had taken time to really read her post and understand her situation. The message was from someone who signed only as a friend. They wrote, I read your post not because I want to judge you, but because I recognize courage when I see it. Most people are too proud to ask for help, even when they desperately need it. That takes strength. Maya read the message 3 times, for the first time all day. She felt like someone saw her as a human being instead of internet entertainment. The person continued, I know what it's like to feel different, to be misunderstood by people who don't take time to see who you really are. The internet can be cruel, but it can also connect people who are meant to find each other. Maya stared at the message, wondering who this person was. They hadn't offered money or asked for anything in return. They had simply reached out with kindness in a sea of cruelty. She typed a careful response. Thank you for seeing me as a person. Today has been the worst day of my life. But your message gives me hope that not everyone in the world is heartless. She hit send and closed her laptop. Tomorrow, she would figure out how to move forward. Tonight, she would hold onto the fact that somewhere in the world, a stranger had chosen kindness over cruelty. Maya fell asleep that night not knowing that this mysterious friend would soon change her life in ways she never imagined possible. Maya woke up the next morning feeling different. The cruel comments were still there, but that one kind message had given her something she hadn't felt in days: hope. She made her coffee and sat at her computer, wondering if a friend had written back. There was a new message waiting for her. This time it was longer, more personal. The person had shared something about themselves that made Maya's heart skip a beat. I hope you don't mind me writing again, the message began. I couldn't stop thinking about your situation. You said you felt like the broken girl nobody wants. But I understand that feeling more than you know. I've spent most of my life feeling like I don't fit in anywhere. Maya leaned closer to the screen, reading carefully. I have autism, which makes social situations really hard for me. Most people don't understand how my brain works. I've been called weird, broken, and much worse. I work with computers because they make more sense to me than people do. But reading your post made me realize that maybe being different isn't always a bad thing. The message was signed David, and Maya felt a strange connection to this stranger. Someone else who understood what it meant to be seen as different, to be judged by people who didn't take time to understand. She wrote back immediately, "Thank you for sharing that with me. I'm sorry people have been cruel to you too. It's hard, being different in a world that wants everyone to be the same. But you're right, maybe being different makes us stronger." What started as a simple thank you message turned into the beginning of something Maya had never expected. Over the next few days, she and David exchanged messages that went far beyond her original post. They talked about their childhoods, their dreams, their fears, and their experiences with feeling like outsiders. David told her about his work as a computer programmer. He specialized in cybersecurity, helping companies protect their data from hackers. He was really good at his job, but he worked from home because office environments were too overwhelming for him. "I order my groceries online," he wrote. "I haven't been to a movie theater in 5 years. Most people think I'm antisocial, but really, I just process the world differently. Loud noises, bright lights, and crowds make me feel like my brain is going to explode." Maya found herself looking forward to his messages every day. David asked her about her art, about the children she taught, about her dreams for the future. He was genuinely interested in her life, not just her disability or her financial problems. "What would you do with the prosthetic?" he asked one day. "I mean, what's the first thing you'd want to try?" Maya thought about it carefully before answering. "I'd want to walk on the beach. I've always dreamed of feeling sand between my toes while walking along the water. Sounds silly, but that's what freedom looks like to me." "That doesn't sound silly at all," David replied. "That sounds beautiful." 3 weeks into their correspondence, David shared something that surprised Maya. He had been saving money for years. Not knowing what to do with it, he lived simply, didn't travel, and rarely bought anything for himself. His bank account had grown steadily, but he never found anything worth spending the money on. "I've been thinking about your situation," he wrote. "I know this might sound strange, but I'd like to help you get your prosthetic, not because I want anything from you, but because helping you feels like the most meaningful thing I could do with my savings." Maya stared at the message for a long time. Was this real? She had received so many fake offers and cruel jokes that she had trouble believing genuine kindness when she saw it. "I don't understand," she wrote back. "You don't even know me. Why would you want to help a stranger?" David's response came quickly. "Because you're not a stranger anymore. You're my friend, and friends help each other. Besides, I've never had anyone to spend money on before. It would make me happy to know I helped someone achieve their dream." Maya felt tears rolling down her cheeks, and all the cruel responses to her post. She had never expected to find someone who would offer help without wanting anything in return. But David wasn't just offering money, he was offering friendship, understanding, and acceptance. "I'm scared," she admitted in her next message. "I've been disappointed so many times. How do I know this is real?" "I understand your fear," David wrote. "I've been disappointed by people too. But maybe we could meet somewhere public, somewhere you feel safe." I'd like to meet the person who's been making my days brighter with her messages. The idea of meeting David both excited and terrified Maya. She had grown comfortable with their online friendship, but meeting in person was different. What if he changed his mind when he saw her? What if this was all too good to be true? But David seemed to understand her hesitation. "How about we meet at the hospital where you get your prosthetic?" he suggested. "That way, even if our meeting goes badly, you could still use the consultation to learn more about the device. I'll pay for the consultation either way, just as a gesture of friendship." Maya talked to her family about David's offer. Her parents were suspicious, worried that someone might be trying to take advantage of their daughter. Her brother Tony insisted on doing a background check. "He seems real," Tony admitted after his research. I found his work profile, his address, even some articles he's written about computer security. But Maya, this is still a huge risk. I know, Maya said. But what if it's not a risk? What if it's a miracle? Riley, her best friend, had a different perspective. Maya, you've been through so much lately. Maybe this is the universe's way of balancing things out. You put yourself out there, you got hurt. But maybe you also found something good. Maya made her decision. She would meet David at the hospital. If his offer was real, it could change her life. If it wasn't, she would at least have tried. The night before their meeting, Maya couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about David's messages, about how he had made her feel understood in a way no one else ever had. He didn't see her as broken or pitiable. He saw her as a whole person with dreams worth supporting. She wrote him one last message before their meeting. Thank you for seeing me as more than my disability. Whatever happens tomorrow, you've already given me something precious, the feeling that I'm not alone in this world. David's response was simple but perfect. You were never alone. You just needed to find someone who speaks your language. Maya fell asleep that night with a smile on her face. Tomorrow, she would find out if dreams really could come true through the kindness of strangers. But in her heart, she already knew that David had changed her life simply by choosing to see her as worth caring about. The meeting would either be the beginning of something amazing or the end of a beautiful friendship. Either way, Maya was ready to take that chance. Maya arrived at the hospital 30 minutes early. She sat in her wheelchair in the lobby, watching people come and go. Her hands were shaking, not from cold, but from nerves. She had changed her outfit 3 times that morning, wanting to look nice, but not like she was trying too hard. At exactly 2 o'clock, she saw a tall man with dark hair walk through the front doors. He was looking around nervously, carrying a small backpack. He spotted her and gave a shy wave. Maya knew immediately it was David. He walked over slowly, his eyes focused on the floor rather than on her. When he reached her wheelchair, he looked up briefly and smiled. Maya, he asked quietly. That's me, she said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. David seemed even more nervous than she was. He kept shifting his weight from one foot to the other, and his hands fidgeted with the straps of his backpack. Maya realized that this meeting was probably just as scary for him as it was for her. Thank you for coming, she said. I know this is weird, meeting someone from the internet. I don't do this, David said quickly. I mean, I don't meet people. I don't really go places. But I wanted to meet you. They sat in the lobby for a few minutes, both feeling awkward. Maya noticed that David avoided eye contact and seemed overwhelmed by the busy hospital environment. She remembered what he had told her about loud noises and crowds being difficult for him. Would you like to find somewhere quieter? She asked. David looked relieved. Yes, please. This place is really loud. They found a small garden area behind the hospital. It was peaceful, with just the sound of birds and a small fountain. David seemed to relax a little bit. I'm sorry, he said. I'm not good at this social stuff. I wanted to make a good impression, but I'm probably failing. You're not failing, Maya said gently. I'm nervous too. This is all new for me. They spent the next hour talking. David told her about his work, about how he had taught himself to code when he was 12 years old. He explained how computers made sense to him in a way that people often didn't. Numbers don't lie, he said. Code does what you tell it to do. People are more complicated. Maya shared stories about her students, about how they inspired her every day. She told him about her art, about the dreams she painted on canvas when reality felt too limiting. I paint things I can't do, she admitted. Dancers, runners, people climbing mountains. It's my way of experiencing those things. That's beautiful. David said, you create the world you want to live in. After their conversation, they went to meet with Dr. Rodriguez, the specialist who would fit Maya's prosthetic. David had already paid for the consultation, just as he had promised. Dr. Rodriguez was impressed by the advanced prosthetic Maya had chosen. This is one of the best models available, she said. It will give you incredible mobility and control. Maya tried on a demonstration model for the first time in her life. She stood at her full height without support. The feeling was incredible, but also overwhelming. She had to sit down after just a few minutes. It takes time to build up strength, Dr. Rodriguez explained, but with physical therapy, you'll be walking naturally within a few months. David watched quietly from the corner of the room. Maya caught his eye and saw him smiling. He looked genuinely happy for her, like her success was his success too. After the appointment, they went to a small cafe near the hospital. David ordered coffee but barely touched it. Maya noticed he seemed more comfortable now that they were in a quieter space. "I have something to tell you," David said. "I've been saving money for 8 years. I don't spend much because I don't need much. I live simply. But I've never found anything worth spending money on until now." Maya felt her heart racing. "David, you don't have to do this. We barely know each other." "That's not true," David said, looking directly at her for the first time. "I know you work 2 jobs to help kids with disabilities. I know you paint your dreams because you can't live them yet. I know you're brave enough to ask for help when you need it. I know you're kind to everyone, even people who were cruel too. You online." He pulled out a piece of paper from his backpack. "I've already arranged to pay for your prosthetic. The money is in an account at the hospital. All you have to do is say yes." Maya stared at the paper. It was a bank statement showing a transfer of $47,000 to the hospital's medical fund, specifically for her prosthetic. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Why would you do this for me?" David was quiet for a long moment. "Because you're the first person who's ever made me feel like being different isn't a bad thing. You talk to me like I'm normal, like my thoughts and feelings matter. You don't treat me like I'm broken." Tears started falling down Maya's cheeks. "But I'm broken. That's why I need this prosthetic." "No," David said firmly, "you're not broken. You're just different. And different is not the same as broken." Maya looked at this quiet, gentle man who had just changed her life forever. She realized that David wasn't just giving her money for a prosthetic leg. He was giving her hope, friendship, and the chance to achieve her dreams. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. "You don't have to thank me," David replied. "Just promise me you'll walk on that beach you told me about. And maybe, if you want, you could send me a picture when you do." Maya laughed through her tears. "I promise. But David, I want you to know something. You said I make you feel like being different isn't bad. Well, you do the same for me. You see me as a whole person, not just someone with a disability." Over the next few weeks, Maya and David spent more time together. He came to the hospital for her fittings and physical therapy sessions. He wasn't good at small talk with the doctors and nurses, but he was always there for Maya. During one particularly difficult therapy session, Maya got frustrated and wanted to quit. The prosthetic felt heavy and uncomfortable, and she was exhausted from trying to walk. "I can't do this," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Maybe I'm not meant to walk." David, who had been sitting quietly in the corner, spoke up. "You are meant to walk. You're meant to dance, to run, to climb mountains. You're meant to do everything you've ever dreamed of." His words gave Maya the strength to keep trying. Step by step, day by day, she got stronger. And David was there for every milestone, every small victory, every moment of frustration. Maya realized that David had given her more than just a prosthetic leg. He had given her a friendship unlike any she had ever known. Someone who understood what it meant to be different, who saw her dreams as valid and worth supporting. Their friendship was changing both of their lives in ways neither of them had expected. Maya was learning to walk, and David was learning to trust. Together, they were discovering that sometimes the most beautiful connections come from the most unexpected places. As Maya prepared for her first real walk with her new prosthetic, she knew that whatever happened next, she would never be alone again. She had found someone who saw her exactly as she was and loved her for it. 6 months after Maya's desperate post went viral, she stood on the beach at sunrise. The sand was cool under her feet, both feet, for the first time in her life. She could feel the ground beneath her through her prosthetic leg. It wasn't exactly like her natural foot, but it was close enough to make her dream come true. David stood beside her, holding his phone with shaking hands. He was trying to record this moment, but his excitement made it hard to keep the camera steady. Maya looked at him and laughed. "Are you crying?" she asked. "Maybe a little," David admitted. "This is the most amazing thing I've ever seen." Maya took her first steps on the beach. The prosthetic moved naturally, responding to her thoughts and muscle movements just like the doctors had promised. She walked slowly at first, then faster, then broke into a run. The feeling of freedom was overwhelming. She ran along the water's edge, her hair flying behind her, her face bright with joy. David followed, walking quickly to keep up. He wasn't much of a runner, but he didn't want to miss a second of Maya's triumph. When Maya finally stopped, she was breathless and laughing. She had run further than she had ever imagined possible. The prosthetic had worked perfectly, giving her the natural movement she had dreamed of her whole life. "I did it," she said, her voice full of wonder. "I actually did it." "You did it," David agreed, his quiet voice filled with pride. They sat on the sand together, watching the sun rise over the ocean. Maya had kept her promise to send David a picture of her walking on the beach, but having him there to share the moment made it even more special. "I need to tell you something," Maya said. "When I made that post 6 months ago, I thought I was just asking for money. I never expected to find a friend like you." David was quiet for a moment, as he often was when he was thinking deeply. "I never expected to find a friend like you either. For most of my life, I thought I was meant to be alone." "Well, you're not alone anymore," Maya said. "We're both different, but we're different together." Over the months that followed, Maya's life changed in ways that went far beyond her new mobility. She returned to work at the Children's Center with renewed energy and confidence. The kids were amazed by her prosthetic, asking questions about how it worked and what it felt like. "Miss Maya, you're like a superhero now," 8-year-old Alex said, the same boy who had drawn her the superhero picture during her darkest days. "We're all superheroes," Maya told him. "We just have different superpowers." Maya started speaking at rehabilitation centers, sharing her story with other people who were facing similar challenges. She talked about the importance of asking for help, about not giving up on dreams, and about the unexpected ways that kindness can change lives. "I posted online because I was desperate," she would tell her audiences. "I got a lot of cruel responses, but I also found something I wasn't looking for, a friend who saw me as worthy of love and support exactly as I am." David found his own way to help others. He started volunteering his computer skills to help people with disabilities access assistive technology. He designed websites for nonprofit organizations and helped families navigate the complicated world of medical equipment funding. "Maya taught me that my skills can help people," he explained to his supervisor when he asked to work part-time so he could do more volunteer work. "I want to use what I'm good at to make a difference." The two friends spent more and more time together. They weren't romantic partners, but they had become something even more special. Chosen family, they understood each other in ways that no one else ever had. Maya helped David become more comfortable in social situations. She taught him that not everyone would understand his autism, but that didn't make him less valuable as a person. David helped Maya see that her disability didn't define her worth, that she was complete and perfect exactly as she was. "I used to think I was broken," Maya said one day as they walked through a park together, "but you helped me realize that I was just different. Different isn't broken." "I used to think I was weird," David replied, "but you helped me realize that weird can be wonderful." A year after they first met, Maya and David made a decision that surprised both of their families. They decided to move to the same city and share an apartment, not as a couple, but as the best friends they had become. People might not understand, Maya's mother said when she heard the news. "It's unusual for two young people to live together as just friends." "Mom, our whole friendship has been unusual," Maya replied, "but it's also been the best thing that ever happened to me." David's parents were worried too. They had spent years trying to help their son connect with others, and they were afraid he might get hurt. David has never had a close friend before. His mother confided to Maya, "Please don't break his heart. I would never hurt him." Maya promised, "He saved my life in every way that matters. He's my family now." Their new apartment was small but perfect for both of them. David set up a quiet office space where he could work without distractions. Maya created an art studio in the extra bedroom where she could paint and design. They developed routines that worked for both of them. David needed quiet time to recharge. After social interactions, Maya needed help with some physical tasks that were still difficult with her prosthetic. They supported each other's needs without judgment or complaint. Maya's art changed after getting her prosthetic. She still painted dancers and runners. But now she also painted portraits of people who looked different, people with disabilities, people who didn't fit society's idea of normal. Her art celebrated differences instead of hiding them. "I want people to see that different is beautiful," she explained to a gallery owner who was interested in displaying her work. "I want kids like the ones I teach to see themselves represented." In art, David's confidence grew as well. He started attending autism support groups, sharing his story with others who struggle with social interactions. He even gave a presentation about cybersecurity to a group of college students 2 years ago. "I couldn't order pizza over the phone," he told the students. "Now I'm standing in front of all of you, giving a presentation. People can change and grow, no matter how different they are." One evening, as they sat in their apartment working on their respective projects, Maya looked up from her painting and smiled at David, who was typing away at his computer. "David," she said, "do you ever think about that day I posted online, asking for help?" David looked up from his screen. "I think about it every day. It was the luckiest day of my life." "Mine too," Maya said. "I thought I was asking for money, but I was really asking for someone to see me as worth caring about." "You did that. You did the same for me," David replied. "You saw me as worth knowing, worth befriending, worth caring about. You changed my life too." Maya walked over to her window and looked out at the city lights. She could walk to the window now, something she couldn't do before her prosthetic. But more importantly, she had someone who truly understood her, someone who would always be there for her. "You know what the best part is," she said. "What?" David asked. "We found each other by being brave enough to be vulnerable. I asked for help, and you were brave enough to offer it. Sometimes the best things happen when we're willing to take risks." David smiled. "I'm glad we both took that risk." Maya's original post was still online, but now it had a different meaning. It wasn't a symbol of her desperation anymore. It was a symbol of hope, of the amazing things that could happen when people chose kindness over cruelty. She had added an update to the post. "I thought I was broken and unwanted, but I was wrong. I just needed to find my person, someone who would see me as whole and worthy of love." Sometimes the most beautiful friendships come from the most unexpected places. To anyone reading this who feels different or alone, you are not broken. You are not unwanted. You just haven't found your person yet. Keep looking. Keep hoping. Keep believing that you deserve love and acceptance exactly as you are. Maya and David's story became a reminder that in a world that often celebrates sameness, the most meaningful connections happen between people who understand what it means to be different. They have found each other across the vast loneliness of the internet, and together, they had learned that being different wasn't a flaw to be fixed. It was a gift to be celebrated. As Maya fell asleep that night in her new home, with her best friend in the room next door, she smiled thinking about how far she had come. She had her prosthetic leg, but more importantly, she had found her place in the world. She was no longer the broken girl nobody wanted. She was Maya, the artist, the teacher, the friend, the whole and complete person she had always been, finally seen and loved by someone who mattered. Her dreams of walking on the beach had come true, but the dream she hadn't even known she had, finding someone who truly understood her, had come true too. And that was the most beautiful miracle of all.